But that for me was like being sentenced to a summer in a candy store. The next morning, my mother drove me to Pearson's barbershop in Seymour, Indiana. It was a typical 1950s small-town barbershop, a barber pole, mirrors on one wall. The barber, Mr. Pearson, was a young man who had just opened the shop a few years before. After we walked in, my mother told me to inform the barber about what kind of haircut I wanted. I spoke softly but firmly, and I said, I want a mohawk just like Indians have. Well, missus, he said, we don't get too many requests for mohawks around here. Is it okay with you? And she nodded. I sat down in the barber chair, and in a short time, I had my treasured mohawk. The barber even shaved the strip of the hair at the back of my head into a point. He held up a small mirror for me to admire his work. I smiled, and after he had removed the barber cloth from around my neck, I climbed out of the chair and looked at myself again in the large mirrors along the wall. I couldn't believe my good fortune. My mother paid the barber, and we walked out of the shop. I had gone outside the box. A few days later, after my mother had returned to my hometown, I received a postcard from her with my grandmother's mail. It read, your brother and I met Daddy's plane. The first thing he said was, where's Steve? Bill, your brother, told him you were visiting Grandma. Then we told him about your mohawk, and he said he didn't want to see it. A day later, I received another card, this time from my father. He acknowledged that he had heard about my new haircut, but he offered no further comment. I inferred that this meant he did not approve, but I was 120 miles away from him, and I had no regrets. I don't recall that my grandmother had any adverse reactions to my mohawk when she saw it. We went on many errands together in her little town, and I like to think that she just might have remembered her own time as a young adult when she also went outside the box and risked thorn and ridicule. I wasn't at all self-conscious about my new haircut, and I only recall one person ever commented